Is this thing? Yeah, we're on. Okay. Welcome, welcome back to a new podcast. This is the Western Star Movie Podcast every Wednesday at 2. We talk about all the latest trailers, TV, anything comes out that is exciting to me, probably to many others watching, and also looking forward to the biggest movies, talking about them, and kind of giving you an opinion, not based off of my opinion as how you should watch the film, but how I felt the way it was. We have only one review to check out this week. Actually, I forgot to put it in the description. There's actually two that I want to talk about. That is Tetris that I finally talked about. I'm not going to be reviewing Luther the Fallen Sun, is because I have to watch seven or six seasons of a show I don't think matters. So there's that. Also, I didn't have a chance to review Air yet or see Air yet. I'm going to see Air hopefully this weekend. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Also, I did see the Mario Bros. Movie, and I'll admit it was better than I expected it to be, but not by much. We got some new trailers for an upcoming Marvel film. The Marvels finally gets a trailer after it was rumored that it was going to get a trailer on Tuesday, yesterday. Finally gets a trailer. We got some new trailers for some spin offs, and we're going to look forward to what's yet to come in the month of May, and also what records have just been broken by a single Mario movie. So, with that said, let's get into the topics. I don't think I want to review a Wilds episode today because I'm going to save the last two next week. So, yeah. So, let's get started with the first topic, shall we? And that is the Marvels. The Marvels is the sequel to Captain Marvel that came out in 2019 in the spring, I think March 8th of 2019. And I'll be honest, I think the first movie is kind of a disappointment. It's nowhere near as top tier Marvel. And for many people wondering my opinion on Captain Marvel, I think I've said it best in the Issa and Anthony podcast that we were talking about the Marvel films. This movie was very mid. There's no style to the film, there's no personality. Like, you can't tell who directed the film. It's also very bland in its story and very disappointing. And Brie Larson's portrayal as Captain Marvel was just not as good. So I was one of the people that wasn't as excited as for the Marvels. Um, I really enjoyed the Candyman movie that came out 2 years ago, which is why I'm bringing it up, is because the director Nia DaCosta is actually directing the Marvels, and so this is one of the other films that's going to have a female-led director on the helm for a Marvel film, and Kamala Khan was going to be in it, so they were going to introduce elements of Miss Marvel and Monica from WandaVision, all grown up from the first movie. She was a kid, and now she's all grown up. And so naturally, I was excited or interested to see how the trailer would look. And I got to be honest, I think the trailer looks fine. It is a teaser trailer and it's under 2 minutes, so there's not a lot of stuff. But they did give us a glimpse at what the movie is. So basically, what they say on the Wikipedia is that Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica all have their powers jumbled up for some reason, and they're trying to figure it out. So I don't. That's it. That's all I think. The that I can sum it up from the trailers, also from the Wikipedia page. Um, if I can bring it up, is the premise is that um following an investigation into the wormhole linked to Kree, Carol Danvers' powers become entangled with Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan, with the trio swapping places with each other every time they use their powers, forcing them to determine why. So, yeah. And this movie comes out in November. And actually, I think it was like months ago or 2 months ago. The film was supposed to come out in July, and then they moved it to November because I guess they wanted Oppenheimer to have a lot of screen time and make a lot of money. Also because Black Panther did really well in the fall, and they thought like, oh, okay, we're gonna put that movie in November because we did it for the last 2 years now. We put a Marvel movie in the fall, Thanksgiving. So naturally, that's an idea that they thought. And I feel it's okay. I'm not excited as I am for Guardians 3, but or Spider-Verse. I'll say that Spider-Verse is another Marvel film. It's not in the MCU, but in terms of Marvel films that are like animated or that have the Marvel Association thing on it, that's what I'm excited for the most. I just don't think that the Marvels is something I'm really excited for. Again, it's a first teaser, but I think like I have to figure out more. I don't know who's the villain, and naturally, I wasn't a fan of Miss Marvel because I was just disappointed by it. The first couple of episodes were actually really good, and then they started to go in that goofy route where they kind of gotten rid of the style, which was so cool in the first couple of episodes with like the messages and like the bright colors. And naturally, they wanted to go in a different route, and I didn't really like it that much. It also features one of the worst episodes in a Marvel show. I think the worst episode in a Marvel show ever. And so naturally, I wasn't that excited. Also, Captain Marvel wasn't really that good. I mean, it's not terrible. It's watchable over time, but like overall, in terms of a Marvel film, it's definitely weak. It's not an attack because this was the first female-led superhero movie in the MCU. It's just that the movie that they made was just not as good. And the directors, I don't even know who the directors were who made that film, but it did make $1 billion. So there's that. So will this movie make $1 billion? I have no idea. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. So I'm interested to see another trailer. I think they're gonna release one in the summer. Um and yeah, I'm interested to see what a lot of people have to say about the Marvels trailer. Um Definitely give me your opinions in the comments or whatever. So yeah. Next up is again more trailers, but that is spin-offs to two very popular IPs, and that is the Batman and John Wick. And also, I forgot to put this in the description when I was making the what's going to be in the podcast, and that is that there's a new HBO Max is having its change name. They're going to call it Max. They're putting Discovery Plus and HBO Max together to make Max. And it's a rebrand of some sort, so it's completely different, but it's the same thing. And I didn't even know about this, but there's a new Conjuring drama series from Peter Safran and James Wan that's currently in development or at Max. It's gonna be weird to say that nowadays. But no, there's a new series inspired by The Conjuring. It says that Peter Safran is developing a drama series based on New Line Cinema's film franchise with Warner Brothers Television. The series is in development for Max, Warner Brothers and Discovery's newly combined streaming service. The series will continue the story established in the feature films. James Wan, who directed both The Conjuring and 1 and 2, is also in talks as an executive producer. Let's see. There are currently 7 films in the Conjuring universe: the first Conjuring, the first Annabelle, the second Conjuring, the second Annabelle, the Nun, the third Annabelle, and the third Conjuring. Collectively, all movies grossed a combined $2 billion worldwide at the box office, which I think is the biggest horror franchise, biggest box office horror franchise. The next installment is the second Nun, which will be released on September 8th, which I am very excited for. And what's interesting about that is that's the same day that It Chapter 1 was released 6 years ago. So it's kind of full circle. I'll admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the Conjuring movies because they kind of went in a weird route. The first Conjuring is fantastic. The first Annabelle is terrible. I don't like that movie. The second Conjuring might be as good as the first one. Annabelle Creation, I thought was really, really good, or better than Annabelle 1, but not as good as the other two movies. I thought The Nun was really, really disappointing, coming from the fact that the jump scares were so obvious. Annabelle Comes Home, which is again another movie that relied on jump scares, didn't work. And The Conjuring, which is actually a much better film than those last two films, but still not as good as the first Conjuring. And also, there's a movie called The Curse of La Llorona, which I think is the worst. Um, in my opinion, is the worst film in the franchise that's connected. Um, because it is just so dumb and stupid. And so naturally, they're making a new one. They're making a sequel to The Nun. So they might make a sequel to The Curse of La Llorona. You know, still no trailer for The Nun 2, which is interesting. But am I excited for this series? I guess not. I think the thing I'm looking forward to is if Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are going to be in the film or in the series, because they're the best parts of these Conjuring movies, and they are so good together. And that's all I have to say about that. But um, let's be real. There's two things that are coming out. Um, that's interesting. Also something about Max that's happening is it was announced today that at Warner Brothers Discovery streamer presser that Shazam Fury of the Gods will be hitting the newly revamped Max service streaming service on its relaunch date on May 23rd. The movie has made $128 million worldwide, which is a horrible disaster. And the first film made $368 million globally. So there isn't a future for another Shazam movie, hopefully. Um, Especially since the last third film from Warner Brothers, which was Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore, didn't do so well in the box office either. And I don't like that movie either. So if you want to watch Shazam, if you didn't want to watch it in theaters, you can watch it on streaming on May 23rd. So there you go. But let's talk about the two spin-off footages that I want to talk about, and that is first the Penguin. As many of you guys may know, I love the Batman. I think the Batman is easily by far one of the best comic book movies of the decade. Of the three films that we had, I don't know if it's as good as Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man No Way Home might be better than this or the Suicide Squad. I'm still debating on it, but in terms of comic books, this is one of my favorites that I've seen in my 21 years of being alive on planet Earth. Um, and naturally, they announced that there was going to be a Penguin spinoff dedicated to the Batman. And it was going to be also developed by Matt Reeves, who also worked on the Batman and I think is working on Batman 2. And I literally, before making this video, I watched the spinoff, the production featurette that they're talking about because they're talking about, they showed a little bit of footage from it, but they're also showing like how they're making the series. And so I was watching it and I am pumped. I am pumped. Um, the first, sorry, um, the first footage, it felt like a darker version. You ever watch The Sopranos? It feels like a darker version of Sopranos. You know, this guy, the Penguin, is a very dark mobster. They show in the trailer he like shoots somebody, and so naturally, I'm really excited because it's another continuation of the Batman, which I really am excited for the Batman Part 2, which comes out, I think, on October 3rd, 2025, which I'm happy that they're doing it. Also, what's really cool about it is that I think that they're introducing, I think they might put the Batman in there, but we don't know. Clancy Brown is going to be in this one. And anytime you hear Clancy Brown, you think Mr. Krabs. And I'm naturally excited for Clancy Brown being in this one. I'm so happy that he was in Doctor Strange or no, not Doctor Strange, John Wick Chapter 4. Um so I liked it. I like what they're doing. The footage, while very short, is very cool. They show like how the world of Gotham is dealing with these sort of things and how life after the Batman is, what is next for the Penguin, what he's doing, how he's supporting himself, you know. And there's a very good voice line that's said in the trailer, voiced by the Penguin, and he says this. He says, "You have to ask yourself, what kind of life do I want? The world isn't built for you guys, for guys like us. That's why we have to take what's ours." And what's interesting about this is that Peter Safran and James Gunn have expressed that the Batman is part of their Elseworld universe, where they're doing this thing where they're including the Batman in their universe, but they're putting it in elsewheres. And it's not part of their Phase One Gods and Monsters DC universe, but Reeves' future sequel is coming out, like I said, on October 3rd, 2025. And Safran and Gunn had their own film, their own Batman in the works called Batman and the Bold, which I have no idea what that's going to be, well, how that's going to play out. I don't know who's going to be Batman there, but I only hope that um, that it's probably as good as what James Gunn has said. So I'm excited. Um, Question is if you guys are excited because I'm interested. Some people are like, I don't know about that. I don't know about hold on a second. Where am I at? Oh no, that's not. Um, I'm trying to look at the next topic the next topic that I have right here. Um, and so yeah, question is overall, are you guys excited for the Penguin DC series and any of the other DC things that's happening with Batman? Um, Anything you want to know, comment below. Whatever you want, comment in the stream and let me know your final thoughts. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on to the other one that I'm really excited for, and that is that of the spin-off to John Wick, and that is the Continental. Now, it was announced that I think in 2020 or 2021 that a Continental spin-off series was going to be happening in the world of John Wick. And it's literally called Continental, the world of John Wick. And it's coming out September and it's debuting on Peacock. Problem is, I don't have Peacock. So what the hell am I going to do about that? Um, but I watched the trailer again before I watched or I did my stream, and it's a very glimpse, look at what the world of John Wick is, and I thought it looked pretty good. Again, a lot of action. Don't know who's in the film or don't know who's in the series. I don't know why I keep saying film, but I'm very interested to see what they got. Apparently it stars who is it? Colin Woodell as a young Winston Scott, played by obviously in the John Wick movies, Ian McShane. Also, Ayomide Idun, who plays a young Lance Reddick, rest in peace. Peter Green, Mel Gibson, Ben Robson, Hubert Poit de Jour, Jessica Allen, Michelle Prada, and Noon Kate. Um, a specific date for for the series has not been released yet, but they are saying that it is premiering in um what is it? In September 2023 for Peacock. So I'm really interested. I love the John Wick movies. I think John Wick is by far the best action series that they have done, and naturally a spin-off series would be good. Also, they already set a release date for their other spin-off, Ballerina, which comes out June 7, 2024, starring the beautiful and amazing Ana de Armas. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how they're going to take this world. Question is though, will it be good? I have no idea. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on to the next topic. And that is that the month of April has already had 2 weeks to give us what they're looking forward to. Obviously, we still got some movies to talk about. Already going to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie. I haven't seen there yet. We got Renfield, The Pope's Exorcist. What are the movies that I have listed in my list to check out? Renfield, The Pope's Exorcist, Evil Dead Rise, The Covenant, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, Ghosted, which is the new romantic comedy action film starring Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, and Peter Pan and Wendy from Disney Plus. And so naturally, what are some of the movies that I'm excited for May? Because I have a list of all the movies that are coming out that I'm really excited for. So let's go over some of the movies that I'm naturally looking forward to and what I think about them and if they're going to be anywhere good. So let's talk about them. So first one is that of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 on May 5th. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes out. Um this movie I'm excited. I think this is my second most anticipated film of May 2023. And that is because there's another film coming out which we'll get into later, but I have faith in James Gunn. I really enjoyed the first Guardians movie. One of the more surprises of Marvel. I didn't quite enjoy Guardians 2 as much. Over subsequent time, I've come to think the movie is okay, but it's nowhere near as good as James Gunn's first Guardians. And naturally, there was some weird shift where James Gunn was fired because something happened, and then they were like, "Oh, we got to make a Guardians 3. Let's hire James Gunn back." And because he was a great person to do the films. So naturally, they were like, "Okay, James, do you want to help out with this?" Well, I got DC now, and I did the Suicide Squad. Yeah, I'll do it. So naturally, he was like, "Yep, we're gonna do it." And I think the trailers look emotional. I think they're really sending this movie out on a bang. Is it gonna be good though? And that's what concerns me. Tickets went on sale a couple weeks or days ago. Already got my tickets, and I'm interested to see what they have. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a must-have to watch. Next movie up is a movie that I actually found out about last last fall when they had the big old Netflix thing where they were doing all the upcoming Netflix stuff and what's to be shown. Ow, what the hell? And one of those things that was appearing on the table was that of The Mother. Now, what The Mother is, this is an upcoming action movie directed by Nikki Caro. Now, Nikki Caro, she directed some movies that are actually I haven't heard about any of the things that she has done. The only one that I have heard of that she has directed was that of the live action remake of Mulan. Wasn't a good movie, but this movie has an interesting premise. I haven't seen the trailer yet, but the trailer is already out. I'm gonna watch it later tonight. And the premise of this movie is they say that while fleeing from dangerous assailants, an ex-assassin comes out of hiding to protect this estranged daughter she left earlier in her life. And this movie stars Jennifer Lopez, Gail Garcia, Omar Hardwick, Joseph Fiennes, and is pretty much like an action movie starring Jennifer Lopez. I'm interested. Hello. I'm naturally interested to see what they have in store for us. And so I think this movie looks good. I'm definitely gonna watch it on Netflix. It's a free movie on Netflix, so what do you expect? Also a movie that's coming out, which I didn't know this movie was coming out. Like I haven't. I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not the biggest fan of anime. I'm not. I just think that it's really weird. You can't tell. There's a really funny joke, on Family Guy about how they made fun of anime, and it's really, really, really good. It's hilarious. I'm not going to say it here, but it's hilarious. It's hysterical. And there have been live action anime adaptations, Ghost in the Shell. They tried to do a Death Note one. I think one of them that they did was a Cowboy Bebop, which failed on Netflix. So naturally, they got lazy. However, I watched the trailer for this one, and I don't know if I'm going to be interested enough, but the trailer actually was not bad. It actually was pretty cool. And that is Knights of the Zodiac. And this apparently is based off of the Japanese The Beginning, Saint Seiya The Beginning. And it's an action film directed by Thomas Tomek Tomek Biganzi. It's Polish. And the films that he has made, he was an executive producer of the Witcher series, and he was also a executive producer of Into the Night, um, which is I think another Polish. What is that sound? That was a weird sound that I just played. I don't know if any of you hear it, but he's a Polish filmmaker, and he's been an executive producer of the Witcher TV series, something that is interesting. So naturally, they're going to make a movie, and this one stars some people that I recognize. Famke Jensen, who is the OG Phoenix and Jean Grey in the X-Men, the original trilogy of X-Men movies, and like the Wolverine stuff. Sean Bean is in this movie. He's a very popular actor. Madison Eisman, who I recognize from The Conjuring, the Annabelle Comes Home, and the Jumanji movies. And I saw the trailer for this film, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I thought it looked very interestingly high budget, but the budget of this film is actually $60 million, and we got a. I just realized that we got a like. We got a like. Thank you, whoever liked the stream. Thank you so much. And so I'm actually interested to see this movie. Do I think it's going to be good? I guess not. I think like the one thing I'm worried about is, are they going to get it right? But is it going to be too over the top? 2 likes, 2 likes. Thank you, thank you. Oh my god! And so I'm actually interested. I'm very interested in this movie. Um, will it be good? I have no idea. The director, I have no idea who he's from. Some of the other actors, I have no idea who they're from. And so naturally, there's going to be some hit and misses and roadblocks in the pathway to me to enjoy this movie. I'm going to be entertained. It looks entertaining, but is it going to be good? That's the thing. And that's it for May 12th. Now, moving on to May 19th, we got two movies. Two movies. I don't know why I did that, but two movies to look forward to. First one is the one I'm not looking forward to. That is Fast X. Say what you want about these movies. They're entertaining. They're fun. Fast 9 was the one that broke me. I think it was like Fast 5, Fast 6, 7, 5. I even enjoyed Fast 8 and Hobbs and Shaw. They were all passable, fun movies. Furious 7 is amazing. I think Fast 5 is even better. But Fast 9 was the one that was like, nah, that's the nail in the coffin for me because it just went so over the top, so stupid that we had a scene in which Vin Diesel drives off a cliff and a bridge cable connects to his tire, and you just see his car on the edge of a cliff over like an island of water just go around and swing him across the other side. And I was just like, no, that's stupid. That is really dumb. You have scenes of madness where a guy catches a literal car and gets squashed. It was hilariously dumb, and I didn't like that movie at all. So naturally, they're going to make another one because these movies make a lot of money overseas and in the United States of America. But the question is, when is it going to be the like? When is it going to be like the straw? When is it going to be like, you know what? I think that's it. I think that we're just not going to see these movies because they did it with the Transformer films. And I don't know what other franchise they did with, but naturally, people are gonna realize, like, yeah, these movies aren't good. They're just well, they're entertaining popcorn films. And that's what I think these films have are getting into. They're just ridiculously over the top popcorn movies where Fast 5 and Furious 7 were like really good films. The other ones were just popcorn films. Yes, there's some ridiculous stuff in now. Those movies, obviously you have the cars hooking the bank and driving around Rio. Furious 7, you have Dwayne Johnson taking a machine gun from a busted up helicopter and shooting a drone with it. And the one liner of him saying, "Woman, I am the cavalry." So naturally, they're going to make another one. And apparently, this has a huge budget of like $340 million, which makes it the fifth most expensive film of all time, only being bested by Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, I think the Avengers Endgame, Pirates Stranger Tides, and Solo a Star Wars story. And I just have no idea why they're spending $340 million on a film that might not do well if it's not good. Now, naturally, overseas, yes, the movie's going to make a lot of money. But here, oh, you better pray this movie hits 200 million in the United States, because if this movie doesn't hit a lot over 200 million, I don't know. This franchise is doing way too much, and there's a new one coming out next year that's apparently the supposed finale. This is part one of two for the end of the franchise. So I have no idea if they are going to make this movie good. But yeah, that's that. So Fast X, and you have all these castmates in here. You have Jason Momoa as the villain, Brie Larson, John Cena comes back. Um, Rita Morano is West Side Story legend. Um, I don't know. I think this might be the one that might break it as well because again, it's a big budget, so naturally they're gonna have a lot of crazy stuff in it that I don't know if I'm going to enjoy. The other movie that's coming out on the same weekend is a Hulu original movie, and it's a remake called White Men Can't Jump. Um, I think this looks funny. The cast of this movie, it stars Jack Harlow, Lance Reddick, who I think this is his final film, so rest in peace to Lance Reddick. And if you don't know the story of White Man Can't Jump, it's pretty much about um, the original movie starred Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, and this movie is about two ballers opposite who are seemingly miles apart find themselves that they might have more in common than they imagined possible. This can be good. This can be absolutely unnecessary. I'm going to watch it because it's free on Hulu, and I have a Hulu account. So there you go. And finally, the movie that I think I'm excited for the most coming out this month, that next month, is, I'll say it, The Little Mermaid. I don't care. I don't care. I think the trailers have been really good. I think that Haley Bailey is really good as said the voice. That's what you need in these movies. If you want to have a good Ariel, you have to have somebody who not only acts really well, but can sing the songs perfectly. And that's what I think the director Rob Marshall saw when when he was choosing Haley Bailey as Ariel. Now, yes, you can argue like, oh, well, she's not exactly the Ariel that I know because it doesn't matter if it's a different skin color or if it's a different race. The movie's still The Little Mermaid. It's going to be good and it's going to make $1 billion. I'm betting this movie is going to make $1 billion by the end of June. But again, June has so much movies that it's hard for me to really see which film is going to make $1 billion. So there's that. The cast is incredible. The songs are from Lin Manuel Miranda, I think, which is interesting because Lin Manuel Miranda is, I think, in the film. It is produced by Lin Manuel Miranda, so the songs are also by Lin Manuel Miranda. I'm really excited. You got Aquafina in there. You got Jacob Tremblay, Javier Bardem, who's a great actor, who is our King Triton, and Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. I have a feeling this movie's going to be a big hit. So there's that. And now it's time for the moment a lot of people have been interested in is to see how did I like the Super Mario Brothers movie? Let's go. Oh god, it's terrible. So let's start it. The Super Mario Brothers movie is finally here, and it tells the story of it's the first Nintendo film since the original live action film that came out in like 1993 or something, and is finally an animated film where we actually see Mario and Luigi and all the characters look like characters and not just live action weird looks to them. So there's that. Basically, the plot of the story is that Mario and Luigi, their business isn't really going at it that much, and then they get sucked in by a warp pipe that travels them to the Mushroom Kingdom. Luigi gets sent to this other area. He gets captured by Bowser, and now Mario has to work with Peach and Toad to save Luigi and the Mushroom Kingdom. Full disclosure, I haven't played a lot of the Mario games. I have simultaneously on and off played Mario Kart and Smash Bros when I was younger, but naturally I grew over those games. And obviously here at Iona they have the esports team that plays Smash Bros, so naturally there's that. What's also interesting about this is I had no idea if this movie was going to be good because it's being made by Illumination, and Illumination, they have a tendency to make really weird films. Their animation's really good, and they make a lot of money. And that's something that I think they hold over Pixar is that their movies are smash hits. Whether they're good or bad, they're big box office, not bombs, but hits. And so, there's a lot of that. Minions Rise of Gru was a big example. Everybody went nuts for that movie. I was in a theater full of kids and teenagers who were just excited to watch a Minions movie. Um, and also with this movie, there was a lot of kids and teens in my theater when I went to AMC Portchester for IMAX to watch this film. Also, the trailers have been really interesting, and I have been really nervous to see how they would tackle a Mario movie without it being really kind of boring. And I'm happy to say that I think that they did a pretty damn good job. This is a very entertainingly fun film. This is by no means a perfect film movie. Unfortunately, for the people who have been excited to see a Mario film, this isn't by no means a perfect movie. This is by no means a bad film. This is a very entertaining film, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. One of the biggest things I think this movie had going for was that the casting choice of Chris Pratt as Mario, you couldn't be more nervous. I mean, this is a character that is nostalgic, that has been featured so many times in so many different games and so many shows and so many toys that having Chris Pratt as Mario was a huge like, wait a minute, really? Mario is Chris Pratt or Chris Pratt's Mario? That's crazy. Um, but also it's because the directors and the creator of Nintendo and Mario thought that's what I want for my Mario voice. And he actually was pretty good. And in the beginning of the film, you kind of get an idea of why he's doing it. And then they just move on from that. It's like, okay, I understand why Chris Pratt and Charlie Day as Luigi are casted. Speaking of Charlie Day as Luigi, he's a standout. I think he's really good as Luigi. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach is great. She's really good. But I think the standout of this movie is easily Jack Black as Bowser. He's so good in the film, which is weird because I was nervous that Jack Black was going to be over the top as Bowser, and surprisingly, he actually is really good. He captures the evilness of Bowser without going too over the top. Um, Also, there's a scene in here where he does a song that apparently is now eligible for an Oscar song, which I think is amazing. I think it's awesome, and I'm very excited to see if he gets nominated for that Oscar. So hopefully he does. Um, and also the animation is another thing I love about this film. It's very different. Illumination has this weird, like very slow, tepid animation style that they do with the Sing movies as well as the Cedar Life of Pets films, even the Minions and the Despicable Me movies. But this movie was different. I don't know how they did it, but the world that they built is great. The visuals are truly a masterpiece in IMAX. I don't know how it would look in Dolby because I think there's like a better picture in Dolby. I might want to see this movie in Dolby again. I have no idea if I want to. I think one time's enough. Um, I think I see movies twice if I wanted to that I think are really good. So like John Wick, I would have seen twice, but I don't think I want to watch it again twice. But um, obviously the animation looks great. I think that the action sequences and the store and some of the characters are great. Um, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, I forgot to mention. Hearing Seth Rogen's laugh as Donkey Kong is amazing. We get to see Seth Rogen laugh as Donkey Kong. You know, that traditional, like, oh God, this is going to feel so weird, but like that laugh coming out of Donkey Kong's mouth is incredible. I think that the music in here is incredible. The music, the score by Brian Tyler is great and it's awesome. It's so cool. You hear a lot of nostalgia beats from it, and there's a lot of Easter eggs. Um, and what's interesting about this is that there was a certain voice actor, Charles Mininet. I don't know how you Martinet, who said was going to be in a couple cameos in the film. And when I finally saw who he was voicing, I was like, "Oh, that's the original OG actor of um, Mario," and it was just amazing. I was never bored. It's a very tightly paced film, which is great. Which brings us to, unfortunately, the negatives, because, like I said, this is a very entertaining film. This has great action sequences and great chase sequences, and the Easter eggs are so amazing. But naturally, they do the illumination thing. The story of this film is very fast, and that's a big problem because I would have liked this movie to be like an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 50 minutes. This movie's an hour and 32 minutes, and it's like 92 minutes long. And you can feel this movie like really very quickly. And that's a big complaint that I have with the film because again, we have a movie where there's so much story to explore, but naturally they go quick. Also, the story feels weird. At times, it just totally changes the way the characters feel. Like there's a scene like Bowser's motivation for destroying the Mushroom Kingdom to me felt a little bit hilarious and not in a good way. It was like, really, that's what we're doing. And I understand it's in the story, but it just comes out of left field. And then like throughout the entirety of the film, his motivation is just that. Like it was something different in the first half of the film, and then it just shifts to this. And I don't know if it's just me, but the music in this movie is weird because anytime it's the actual soundtrack by Brian Tyler, it's great. But they do these things where they introduce like 80s rock and like current pop culture songs. There's a scene in which I'll give an example. It's not a spoiler, but there's a scene in which they go to Donkey Kong's land and they are introduced to this monkey who takes them to the king. And you think that they're going to play Welcome to the Jungle. They actually play Take on Me and it was so weird. It was so out of place. I'm like, what's happening? And for the majority of this film, there's a lot of like those songs. Like you get No Sleep Till Brooklyn, there's I Need a Hero, Take on Me, of course, you know. And it's I think it's Illumination's style, and it just felt a little bit awkward. So there's that. Also, some of the humor in the movie, I think just didn't hit. And I understand this is a kids movie, but there's some jokes in here that actually do work. But for the majority, some of those jokes don't really work and they're meant for kids. But some of the kids, even in my theater, were not laughing at the jokes. Again, there were some jokes that laughed. A lot of people were laughing at some of these scenes, but naturally, it's Illumination's style. It's really awkward humor, and it's not really that much. Um, and so if you whatever, I think if you're a nostalgic fan of Mario, you have the Mario games, you want a Mario movie to be good, I think you're gonna love this movie. But if you want a movie with an actual story that's good and a character development that shifts perfectly, you're gonna be a little bit disappointed. But I still had a great time with this movie, and I'm gonna give the Super Mario Brothers movie a B minus. Again, it's nowhere near as good, but I also want to talk about something that I think I don't like to talk about reviewers, but I watched this review. Like naturally, me and my father, after we watch movies, we watch reviews, reviews of what other people had to say about the movie. And there was this one reviewer that I didn't show him that I thought was absolutely terrible because they were just saying the most random things, and it just felt so weird, so out of place. And I'm just like, did they not play the games? Like that's in the games, and they say something about how Bowser does this thing where it's like stalker behavior, but he's actually doing a villain thing. So I just want to say that. I'm not going to say who it is, but it felt weird. Also, you can't deny the fact that the movie smashed records. Let's talk about those records. The film smashed the biggest 3-day opening weekend for an animated film from Illumination with a whopping 46.4 million dollars. Also, the record for the biggest Illumination 5-day, besting out Despicable Me 2's 143 with $204.6 million dollars, which is also the biggest Wednesday to Sunday opening, 5-day opening of all time, topping, are you ready for this? 2009's Transformers Revenge of the Fallen with exactly $200 million. dollars. It's also the third best Easter weekend, ranking behind Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Furious 7. And worldwide, it has shattered the opening weekend worldwide for an animated film with Frozen 2 at $377.5 million worldwide. And already the movie has grossed $420 million. This movie's going to hit $1 billion. It's going to be big. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to have really good legs in the next couple of weeks, which is going to be amazing to see how all this movie does, you know, in the next couple of weeks and months to show. So that's me being happy. And I think it was obvious this movie was going to gain an audience and a lot of people were going to go see it. So I'm excited. I think this movie should hit $1 billion. I think the projections, because think about it, this movie, when the first projections hit, this movie was like, oh, it's going to hit 85 to $90 million on its 5 days. Then they were like, okay, it's going to hit 125. All right, now it's going to hit 141. Okay, now it's going to hit 195, and now it's 200 million on its 5-day opening weekend, which is insane. It is absolutely insane. And I think that's going to do it for the stream. I'm going to review Tetris next week because I think I'm going to give you guys the 4 reviews that I have. So there's that. And I think I'm going to do reviews only because I have a lot to talk about. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to the live stream. Again, this is the Western Star Movie Podcast. If you are new to the channel, new to this, I do this every Tuesday or Wednesday at 2. And thank you for the 2 likes that I got on the stream. I'm actually surprised that I got 2 likes. That's actually the first time I've ever got 2 likes on this stream doing this. It's really good. Hopefully it continues. I'm happy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Signing off.